I need to tell you.
Hello, and welcome back to my channel where we are all crime all black all the time.
Anything we need before we get the jury back? Anything we need before we get the jury back?
Just a couple brief records about exhibits that we stipulated to.
All right. All right, then we are on the record in FECR 153477. Defendants present with counsel, states present, or outside of the presence of the jury. Is there a record from the state? Oh, sorry, yes.
Judge, I just wanted to bring to the court's attention that Ms. Eimerman and I did discuss proposed exhibits, which would include all of 12 and all of 13, that the state intends to offer during this trial, whether it's today or tomorrow. In those exhibits, there are photographs of firearms. I wanted to be clear with Ms. Eimerman that the firearms depicted in states 12 and 13 are the firearms that we agreed to be showing to the jury. And after she had an opportunity to review the exhibits that I brought her attention to yesterday,
No, and I appreciate appreciate the state bringing that to our attention. They are different firearms at different locations.
Okay. Any other record like that?
no, Your Honor.
Okay, great. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Let's go ahead and have our jury.
Everyone in the office is really excited about Power Slap joining Rumble.
1, 2, 3!
Iron chin, iron chin. Iron chin. Iron chin. Ooh, it hurts. Stings.
You can all be seated. All right, we're back on the record in FECR 153477. Welcome back, jurors. When we left off, the state was in the process of presenting evidence. Is the state ready to present its next witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may do so.
State calls Nakia Sloboda.
I'm going to have you raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
If you'd please start by just stating and spelling your full name for the record.
Nakiasvoboda.
Thank you. Go ahead, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Nakia.
Good morning.
Could you move that microphone up there to your mouth there? Good. All right. Speak clearly for us. A little soft-spoken. Thanks. Why don't you first tell us a little bit about yourself? How old are you?
22.
Where do you currently live?
On the southeast side of Cedar Rapids,
Where are you from originally?
Chicago.
How long have you lived in Cedar Rapids?
About 7 years.
Where else have you lived while you've been here in the area?
Iowa City.
Did you spend some time also living in Hiawatha in a trailer?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you know the defendant in this case, Mckinley Louisma?
Yes, Your Honor.
You don't have to call me Your Honor. I'm not, that's him. I like it, but. So, can you tell us how you know Mr. Louisma?
I dated him.
And do you see him in the courtroom today?
Yes.
And can you just tell us what he's wearing
A blue shirt.
over here at the table by his lawyers?
Yes.
Okay. May the record reflect the witness identified the defendant, Your Honor?
It will.
So you said you dated Mr. Louisma. Can you tell us when you met with Mr. Louisma?
In 2020.
Can you tell us how you met Mr. Louisma?
On a dating app.
On a dating app. Which one?
Tag.
When you met Mr. Louisma on a dating app, how did the initial conversation go?
We started talking and we gave each other our numbers in Snapchat.
And when you started talking with him after giving each other's numbers and talking on Snapchat, did you meet up with him?
Yes.
Did you meet up with him that day?
Yes.
And when you met up with him that day, what did the two of you do?
Went to Lily Pond Lake.
Is that the Lily Pond that's out up in a manna, down in a manna?
Yes.
And whose idea was it to go there?
His idea.
How much time did you spend together that first day?
Pretty much the whole day.
So did the two of you then hit it off?
Yes.
Did you start dating each other after that?
Yes.
And how long did you and Mr. Louisma then date each other or see each other as boyfriend and girlfriend?
Pretty much like every day.
Did that, how long did that last until?
This year.
Did it last until February of this year?
Yes.
During the course of your relationship, were the two of you together all the time, or were there times when you weren't?
There's times we weren't.
Would you call that an on-again or off-again relationship here and there?
Yes.
Did the two of you have some troubles during your relationship?
Yes.
What would you say were the main troubles you had during your relationship?
Arguments and keeping jobs.
Arguments and what?
Keeping jobs.
Keeping jobs? Okay. Was it difficult during the relationship for you and him to keep a job?
Yes.
Did that cause some problems with you guys?
Yes.
And when you had arguments, what were the arguments about?
Basically jealousy.
Was Mr. Louisma jealous of you talking to other people?
Yes.
During the relationship, would he keep tabs on who you were talking to in any way?
Objection, relevance.
Approach.
Thank you.
Objections overruled. You can answer if you remember the question, or do you need him to ask it again? You need him to ask it again? Okay.
Would you mind repeating the question?
Question, during the relationship, would he keep tabs on who you were talking to in any way?
No.
No?
No.
Did you and the defendant end up splitting up sometime in the middle of 2023?
Yes.
And do you remember when it was the two of you broke up?
July
Do you remember the day?
4th.
So July 4th, 2023, you and the defendant split up?
Yes.
And who broke up with who?
Me.
So you broke up with Mr. Louisma.
Yes.
And was that because of the jealousy issues and whatnot?
Yes.
After you and Mr. Louisma broke up, did you start seeing somebody else?
Yes.
Who?
Matthew Clark.
And his last name was Clark?
Yes.
Did he go by any other names?
Polo King.
Polo King? How long did you see Mr. Clark?
Like 3 months.
And during that 3 months, did you continue to have contact with the defendant?
Yes.
What kind of contact did you continue to have with the defendant during that 3 months where you were seeing Mr. Clark?
I would text him and tell him to come get me at my apartment. And then we would meet up.
So what would be the purpose of you meeting up with him?
Because sometimes, most of the time, me and Matthew would get into it a lot.
So even though you were seeing this Matthew, you still continued to see the defendant off and on?
Yes.
While you were seeing Matthew and still seeing the defendant off and on, did you become aware of another person in the defendant's life named Melody?
No.
You didn't know about Melody at that time?
No.
Did Mr. Louisma, the defendant, ever tell you about having any other friends during that time that were
No.
women? At some point in time, did you and the defendant get back together as a couple?
Yes.
Do you remember when that was?
In December.
December of 2023?
Yes.
And how did that happen that you guys ended up getting back together?
I didn't know him and Melody were together, and he left Melody and came back to me.
So you didn't know that he had been with Melody, but are you saying that you know that now that he left Melody and came to you?
Yes.
And when he came to you, who decided between the two of you that you would get back together as a couple?
We both did.
I'm going to jump ahead just a little bit here to February 17th, 2024, okay? What was the status of your relationship with the defendant on February 17th of 2024?
It was good.
Were you together as a couple?
Yes.
Were you living together at that time?
Yes.
Where were you living?
At my Nana's.
Your Nana's?
Yes.
Who's your Nana?
Patty.
What's Patty's last name?
Bent.
Sorry.
Bascom.
Bascom? And where was Patty's house? Where were you living?
Hiawatha.
Do you remember the name of the street you lived on?
No.
Do you know a street called Hummingbird Lane?
Yes.
Was that the street you guys lived on?
Yes.
And was that in a trailer park in Hiawatha?
Yes.
Who lived with you in your Nana, Patty Bascom, at this trailer?
Mckinley and my papa.
Who's your papa?
I didn't really talk to them.
Is that your Nana's boyfriend at the time?
Yes.
So on February 17th, 2024, when you're living on the trailer on Hummingbird Lane with Patty, the defendant, and Patty's boyfriend, were you also pregnant at that time?
Yes.
And whose child were you pregnant with?
I didn't know who it was.
Did you believe it could have been the defendant's child?
Yes.
Was the defendant with you as a boyfriend at that time, taking care of you when you were pregnant?
Yes.
Was he going to, or keeping up on some of your appointments and things like that?
Yes.
To your knowledge, did the defendant believe the baby was his?
Objection,
Yes.
speculation.
Overruled.
And your answer to that was yes?
Yes.
I want to take you then to that day, February 17th, 2024, earlier in the day. Do you remember having some complications with your pregnancy?
Yes.
What was going on?
I have like really bad pain in my stomach, and I was sent to the hospital,
What hospital did you go to?
St. Luke's.
Who'd you go with to St. Luke's?
My nana.
Did she take you down there?
Yes.
What about the defendant? Did he come there that day?
Yes.
How did he get there?
Well, we called him, and he said he was with his brother, and then he came and he came by himself.
So he came by himself. Did he drive his car there?
Yes.
Do you remember how the defendant was acting when he came to St. Luke's that day?
Yes.
How was he acting?
Really off.
Off?
Yes.
In what way?
He wasn't himself, and I know when he is himself, he usually would talk to me, and he was on his phone, and I asked him if he was okay, and he didn't say anything.
So he was acting off and he was on his phone. Could you tell anything he was doing on his phone?
No, he was watching videos.
So you could tell he was watching videos?
Yeah.
Could you tell if he was talking to anybody on his phone?
No.
So he was off enough that you asked him what was wrong with him?
Yes.
And he didn't tell you anything?
No.
I'm going to stop there for now on February 17th, but come back to that, to back up and ask you that after you got back together with the defendant at the end of December 2023, did you find out that he had been in a relationship with another woman while the two of you were not together as a couple?
I did find out.
And how did you find out the defendant had been in a relationship with another woman while the two of you were separated from each other?
Well, we got back together. When we got back together at my apartment, she called his phone, and basically she said that I answered it, and she said she wanted to talk to her man, and I was like, "Who's your man?" She said, "McKinley."
Okay. So I'm going to ask a couple questions about that. You said at your apartment. What apartment were you living at?
Crestwood.
And where's that?
Ladies and gentlemen, I am officially running for President of the United States. In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President.
Melody.
And do you know her now as Melody Hoffman?
Yes.
When you had this brief conversation with her, and she said McKinley, you asked her who her man was. What happened after that? What did you do?
I basically walked away because I couldn't deal with the stress.
So you were on the phone. What did you do with the phone?
I gave it back to him.
To the defendant?
Yes.
What did he do?
He hung up on her.
What happened after he hung up on her?
She called back.
Do you remember how many times she called back?
No.
What happened when she called back?
He put it on mute.
On what?
He put his phone on mute.
On mute?
Yes.
What does that do?
So she couldn't hear what we were saying.
So he answered the phone, but then put it on mute?
Yes.
Were you present then while she was on the other end of the line?
Yes.
Did a conversation take place?
Yes.
I'm not going to ask you what was said, but through the nature of that conversation, did you find out that the defendant had been in a relationship with her?
Yes.
And obviously, well, I guess not obviously, did you find out that the two of them had broken up?
Yes.
Did you also figure out then through talking to the defendant that while you were separated from him, that he actually had spent some time at Melody's apartment with her?
Yes.
Did you find out that he had some stuff there still?
Yes.
Do you remember when the defendant went to get some stuff from Melody's apartment?
Yes.
And were you with him that day?
Yes.
How would you describe the defendant's demeanor? I mean, like his emotions that day?
I don't really know. He just told me it was just a friend that he went to get his stuff from. And I waited outside the car.
Do you recall where his stuff was when he went over to get it? Do
No.
you remember any of his stuff being outside?
No. Not that I know. I only went there once.
Do you recall whether the defendant was upset when he went to get the stuff?
Yes.
How do you know he was upset?
He told me his, Melody's mom and him don't really get along.
So when he went over to get his stuff, would you say that he was in an upset or angry mood?
Yes.
So you had this brief conversation with Melody where you could tell that she and the